In the beginning, a man named Walter Black is shown. Walter Black was once outwardly successful in every aspect of the world. He inherited the CEO position of his now-deceased father's toy company, Jerry Co. But largely because of his inability to manage the company, which is near bankruptcy, he is now clinically depressed, which is manifesting itself primarily in wanting to sleep all the time. He has tried every therapy known, to no avail. He has even tried unsuccessfully to commit suicide. His depression is negatively affecting his family. His teenage son, Porter Black, is a bright boy who can parlay his ability to think like others into a successful money-making venture of secretly writing school papers for his classmate. However, he is afraid that he will turn out like his father, his fear to the point of him trying consciously to wipe out any similarity he has with his father from his own being. Walter's adolescent son, Henry Black, is a loner who gets picked on by others, as she feels she can't help him in any way. His engineer wife, Meredith Black, finally kicks him out of the house, much to Porter's joy. Henry, the youngest son, is very shy, and Porter is trying hard not to be like him. Porter is a talented writer and makes money writing papers for other students. In school, Porter is approached by Jared, who is asking him to get Jared in a grade. He says that Porter got Hector in a grade, which Porter denies. Porter tells him that it will be suspicious if he, a student who was failing, suddenly out of nowhere starts scoring in a grade, and that they will have to build his grade slowly, eventually reaching in a grade. He asks Jared to pay, who complains that it is very costly. Jared pays and leaves. Porter sees a beautiful girl. She hands him a note through which she invites him to meet her the next day at the gym. Meredith goes to pick Henry up from school. On the way, she asks him if he talked to anyone and learns that some new kid bullied him, and she tells him she will complain to the teacher. Henry asks about Walter leaving. Walter buys some supplies, and as he is putting them in his car's trunk, the space is full. He spots a dumpster nearby and takes some stuff to throw in the dumpster. As he discards the stuff, he sees a beaver hand puppet lying in the dumpster. He walks away, but then returns and picks up the beaver and throw it in his trunk with other things. He moves into a hotel, and at night he drinks and watches a movie. After that, he goes to the washroom and ties his tie to the railing near the bathtub. He tries to hang himself, but the railing breaks under his weight, and he falls into bathtub. All the while, he is holding the beaver puppet in his hand. He then tries to jump off the balcony, but being drunk, he falls back inside the room and the TV falls on his head. At home, Meredith, Henry, and Porter have dinner and watch TV together. The next morning, Walter wakes up. The TV fell on his chest and it is still there. He talks to himself and scolds himself for trying to end his life by using the beaver as if he is some other person. He then has a conversation with the beaver and motivates himself to fix things via him. He asks, "Who are you?" to the beaver, and an answer say, "I am Beaver and I have only come to save your life." He can express himself through the use of a beaver hand puppet, the beaver acting as a third-person expression of himself. Meredith goes to school to pick up Henry and learns that Walter has taken him. She hurries home and finds that Walter and Henry are there. Walter talks to her using the beaver and even connects with Henry via him. He hands her a card stating that he is in a puppet prescription to separate the negative aspect of his personality, and tells her to treat him like she do usually. Meredith is confused, and he says that his psychiatrist has prescribed this method to him. He is then about to leave, but Henry insists that he stay for dinner, and Meredith asks him to stay for dinner. The beaver agrees and starts to clean the garage along with Henry. In school, Porter is approached by the same girl named Nora in the gym. He asks her why she asked him to meet there. She tells him she wants him to write something for her. Porter thinks that she is sent by the principal or some professor, and denies her, saying he does not do it. She insists that she genuinely needs his help, and he comments that she is a smart student, and he even copies in calculus from her, so why does she need his help? She needs him to write her graduation speech, which is a trivial thing for him, but it is important as it matters a lot to her mother. She assures him she is not accusing him, but she has heard that he is really good, and when he writes for someone, he does it exactly like the person he is writing for, and he totally gets into the mind and the mindset of that person. He calls her lazy and she gets angry. She shows him her work and calls him an idiot and storms off. Porter gets back home and sees his dad there and gets angry at his mom for letting him in. William, Henry, and Meredith have dinner together. Through the beaver, the family begins to learn about Walter's history and problems. Porter thinks he's insane. He reestablishes a bond with his younger son Henry, and then with his wife, although not with Porter. He put Henry to bed, and Porter contacts Nora and agrees to help her, and that he will charge her $500. She invites him to meet the next day. He then sees Walter leaving from his window, who waves at him. The next day, Walter does his morning routine. While holding the beaver, he even takes bath while holding it. He then gets dressed and head to the office. He called a mandatory meeting, and each person gets the same note as Meredith. The beaver gets to the meeting and introduces himself to Walter's company, and it equals dress them. He tells them Walter was not suited for the job and made some bad decisions. He is leaving the post and making him the charge. He sets a new direction for the company. He promises he will set things right and ask them to work with him for 2 weeks, and they will be free to leave if they want after that with full pay. Porter goes to Nora's house to meet her and interview her so he can write her speech. She was once suspended from school. He asks her about that and learned that it was because she was caught doing graffiti tagging. He asks her to show him her art, and she takes him to another room that is filled with paintings and art. She shows him a drawing and tells him that she wants to draw it someplace big and as soon as she can. He asks why she stopped. Nora tells her that she got caught and her mom was angry, so she had to stop. Her mom gets there. She lies that Porter is in her maths group and her mom asks Porter to leave. Nora apologizes when she sees him off. Porter gets home, and Walter is there as well. He can function normally in all aspects because of Beaver. Porter and Nora grow close and Meredith is also happy. The family is on a positive roll and things are seeming to be improving for them. Henry has a habit of going to the garage at night and making things out of wood. He has a woodworking hobby. One night as Henry sneak into the garage and start making noise, Meredith wake Walter up and sends him to talk to Henry. Walter comes and finds him working on something and asks him to not play with tools when he is alone. They both chat and Walter see Henry getting happy while playing with his woodworking tools, and he gets an idea. He leaves for work, and while leaving he tells Meredith that Henry will now follow a schedule. He kisses Meredith using the beaver hand, which shocks her a bit. In the office, his vice president Morgan Newell come there and find him sitting on ground carving something out of wood. He has carved a box with a beaver's face and he show it to her. She asks what is it, and he tell her that he is designing a talking beaver woodworking toolkit for kids. Based on Henry's woodworking hobby, the beaver encourages the company to make woodworking kits. Everyone start working on the kits. Thorough design is made. They are assembled, which sell well. He becomes successful again at work by creating a line of Mr. Beaver building kits for children. Meredith and Walter spend time together and get close, but Meredith is getting annoyed by the beaver. One night she asks him if he talked to the psychiatrist, and when his treatment will be over, indirectly asking when he will get rid of the beaver. He do not give a definite answer and shoot her down. Tell her to sleep. In school, Porter meet Hector, who got caught by his grandma, who found out he cheated and complained to TH principal. Porter asked him to keep his name out of the issue. He planned to make a fake website to take the fall for the cheating paper. He sees Nora and asks her for a date. Porter begins to fall in love with Nora. He gets emotionally attached to Nora, feeling that she is repressing her desire to express herself regarding her brother's death, but his father's actions with the beaver puppet embarrass him. She has a history of getting in trouble for graffiti. He asks her out, and they go on a date. When Porter sprays Rip Brian on a wall in an attempt to coax Nora to express her feelings about her brother, she is furious, and they both end up getting arrested. At the same time, Meredith and Walter go out without the beaver, and the conversation is stilted. Meredith tries to get Walter to remember their past, and he breaks down and brings out the beaver. They bail Porter out, but he is mortified. Meredith moves out of the house with the children because he lied to her about the puppet being part of a treatment plan monitored by his psychiatrist. She feels she can no longer communicate with her husband and that he is suffering from a dissociative identity disorder, with the beaver taking him over. The beaver goes on the Today Show and is interviewed by Matt Lauer. The beaver explains that reinventing yourself is a way to break out of the cycle of depression, and his family, watching TV, begins to understand. The beaver becomes a worldwide phenomenon. But part of Walter's personality realizes what he has put his family through and wants to get rid of the beaver to get back together with his family. When Walter tries to reach out to Meredith, the beaver attacks him. To divorce from the beaver, Walter cuts off his hand. Walter finally takes the puppet out of his life by cutting off his arm at the elbow with a circular saw. He is rushed to the hospital by Porter. The following scenes show the beaver wood kit losing popularity. Walter's vice president Morgan Newell assuming control of the company. Walter being equipped with a prosthetic hand and being placed in a psychiatric hospital. And Porter getting in trouble for writing other people's papers. Porter now sleeps all the time, like his father, and Walter has an artificial hand. Nora gives him another chance, and they make up. Nora reconnects with Porter. She starts reading the speech he wrote, but stops and admits publicly that she did not write it herself. She switches to explaining the value of truth and the trauma caused to her by her brother's death some years previously. Porter realizes the value of his father and reunites with him at the hospital. Walter Black becomes himself again, spends time with his family and returns to a normal life.